Hey guys, welcome back to a special Monday edition of Banter Bets and BPL. The boys are scrambling across the finish line, trying to finish as a positive betting podcast, making you guys as much money as we can. So we're coming in live on a midweek slate of games. Quick turnaround, but we're here for it. We got a special guest on, recurring guest, seeing if he can win some money after going cold last time. But we always give second chances here at Banter Bets and BPL. In terms of real soccer, we got a Liverpool goalie scoring. Allisson saves Liverpool season, possibly condemns Coach Cam's fantasy season. We'll have some live Coach Cam reaction for that. We'll have some take some pop shots at Chelsea for losing the FA Cup final. Can they mess it up even worse and compound that mistake by losing again to the same team 3 days later? We'll talk about that. Plus, we'll have some goal scoring stories, some butt comparisons, and much more on this edition of Banter Bets and BPL. Here we go. Welcome in, boys. We got Brother Keegs, Coach Cam, both coming off contrasting fortunes in fantasy. We got Sandy. He's actually had a pretty good week in betting, so that's something to write home about. Doesn't often happen. And we got Brother Kieran on this week. Let's go to our guest first. Brother Kieran, you've come on maybe just to say goodbye to Premier League, Fantasy Premier League Division 1, and we can eulogize your season, maybe take a look at your draft picks, your awful trades, and, make fun of you.
Yeah, well, I have been the running joke of the Fantasy Premier League group chat this year, and rightfully so. All I know is I might have been able to win last week, but you guys talked about how I was the favorite to stay up on this podcast, and I knew as soon as I heard that, I was going down.
Yeah, true. The Mush brothers. I'll screwed you over. Sandy?
It's all right, Joe.
You bet on Che Adams to score, and he did.
Yeah, I was going to say, we don't discriminate against Division 2, so we're happy to have him on the pod, right? So at least Kieran will be on the pod next year, regardless of his division.
No, Division 2 is a strong
division. We're very inclusive.
Yeah.
I kept it simple last week. Pretty much 2 bets because that Chelsea-Leicester confusion. I don't even know what day that bet was. I just threw it in there because you guys were hyping it up.
Yeah.
I bought what the boys were selling. I got the Che Adams bet, nailed that one, and then almost had the perfect 2-for-2 weekend, but Everton let me down on the stinky Spurs-Everton parlay. I thought I was good once I got to the Spurs game, but didn't see the Sheffield upset coming.
Yeah.
But
we'll talk about that one too.
It was a good bet.
An interesting twist to that Sheffield win. I guess I'm going to save your reaction for last, Cam. So we're going to go to Brother Keegs. Brother Keegs, huge win this weekend in fantasy. It's down to the nitty gritty. We thought you were getting relegated. We were writing you off last week. You were writing yourself off last week, but a Canadian who's probably like 3 years younger than you, maybe 4, comes through for you and possibly saves you.
Yeah. I think I might have, as much as I hate to say it, I might have taken a trick out of Dad's book where one game season or one game into the game week, I've already lost. But it was, it was looking that way, but an absolutely heroic Leeds performance. I think I had 7 total. Yeah, I think I had 7 total players play, and Cody had a full lineup and a sub. And you know what? My 7 players that got minutes combined for about 38 points. And I think 35 of that came from 3 Leeds players. I had Allisson with a goal, with an assist and a clean sheet, Melier with a clean sheet and a bonus, I think, and Click scored a nice goal. So
yeah, he did.
And then
a nice one.
And then it all came down to the Sheffield game, and I messaged in our group chat. Basically, if Everton kept a clean sheet, me and Cody probably would have tied, or I would have lost, and Kieran would have won. So basically, my whole season was resting on Sheffield United scoring a goal.
Mm-hmm.
So I was pretty down and out at that point. But then along came my savior.
Yeah, Coach Cam. He's been on top of the Fantasy Premier League table for most of this season. His biggest chance so far to lift some silverware. He's still not out of it, but he maybe made a couple transfer mistakes. We got to say, I think he admits that now. But of course, he still would have won if not for Allisson scoring a goal against him, and lowly Nate, last in the table, beats him. He's really got his work cut out for him if he wants to win the league now. Coach Cam, I mean, what can you say?
It was a tough week. The first game it was actually great, the very first game of the game week, because I put $50 on City and they won. I had João Cancelo, who got 11 points. So I was like, wow, like João Cancelo's got me 11 points. I'm looking pretty good. I had a full team of players that had game week, and Nate only had 6 players. I made some transfers, not for that game week, but for the following game week. I thought I'd better get ahead of the game. And obviously I made some pretty poor transfers. We don't have to get into it too much, but it all came down to if Nate's last 3 players got 2 points each, I would still beat him. And 2 of his 3 players got 2 points. And I was like, that's perfect. And it was the 88th minute. I remember checking my phone and being like, it's 1-1 Liverpool, West Brom. This is great. Like Allisson, the only way he can beat me is if he saves a penalty. But I thought like Liverpool is probably attacking a ton, right? So there's no way it's going to save a penalty. And then I got home and Marco, of all people, texted me and he was like, yeah, Allisson scored. I was like, there's no way. Like, they're definitely pulling my leg. So I had to go check it out. And yeah, it was like, yeah, that just kind of summed up my entire month of fantasy. Has been so poor, and my luck is like definitely dying down. And I hate to say this next part. I really hate to say this next part, but I have to. It kind of shows the real great fantasy managers how I guess they end up getting to the top, whereas luck can only buy you so far. So, which I really hate to say. I just believe I'm an average manager. And I've rode my luck a lot, but Liam, you made like Tyreek Mitchell pick up, and obviously it showed. So slim chance. There's no chance. I'm going to be very optimistic. I'm still 4 points behind first, so 2 game weeks I can win both. Liam, you can lose both. I can still win, but yeah, it was tough seeing Allisson score, and it wasn't frustrating as much as like a shot in the gut. Like just wow, almost brought tears to my eyes in the bad way. Just
you got a moment for Coach Cam to start this podcast off.
Yeah, Liam, a historic quote pretty much sums up Cam's situation. They really need him in the balls of his heart.
Yeah, like a need of the nuts of his heart.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, it was a tough one.
All right. Yeah, our fantasy league has been just the gift that keeps on giving. Close title races, close relegation races. We got fantasy FA Cup final that we've got coming up this week. So I've really enjoyed that this year. Hopefully Kieran can join us again next year. Although, can you still survive?
Oh yeah, if I win out and Keegan or Cody, well, the plan is to stay up. If I win out my 2 games, like if I beat Dad this week and Cody loses, I play Cody on the final day, and the winner of that stays up. So we've got some serious drama coming up.
Cody's out of the woods.
Is that I need Bill to lose so that I can jump to at least second place, and I play Cody this week.
So what do I want more? To stay up or to screw Cam?
Well, if you win and I win, then it's a win-win. If you win and I win, then it's going to set us both up. So
and I'll win too.
And Sandy wins, and it'll be a great end last game week.
Yeah, I play Liam, so I'm trying to play spoiler. It's the first game in months I've actually cared about.
Implications everywhere. Keegan, who do you play?
I am not sure. Don't really check. Don't really care. But I just know that I need to get a win. And I'm safe. So I'm still in the battle too.
There you go. All right, guys. A little fantasy talk to open up the podcast. We'll get into the topics now and start looking at these bets here that we've got pulled up. So Tuesday, tomorrow morning, the games are going to kick off. Morning if you're Pacific out here. Tomorrow afternoon Eastern time. Manchester United, Fulham. And we don't have much on Manchester United because they didn't play this past weekend. And their season is kind of petering out anyway. But, I mean, Fulham's has as well. My question was for Sandy, what I try to do when I look at, teams that are getting relegated is look at players that you think could possibly get a transfer to stay in the Premier League. And then, you see how many times they can get relegated back to back. Like your Robert Snodgrass is getting relegated back to back with Norwich and Hull, or I think Scott Dan was relegated with like Burnley and then someone else. But, those guys that are just going to stay on the bottom teams and just get relegated season after season. So my question for you is who on Fulham is getting relegated with Newcastle next year in the Premier League? Or any other team?
Yeah, it's a tough question because the teams getting relegated this year are really bad.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
They don't have many redeeming qualities. But of that batch, I think I could see Luke Men maybe getting a transfer somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of shown himself. I don't actually know what his status is, but I assume he is free to be transferred. I don't know if he's a loanee, but he's kind of been the bright spot on that team, I think. He's had flashes of brilliance. So I could see someone taking a little bit of a gamble on him.
Just
and obviously we talked about,
of course.
Well, if he goes to an actual decent team, not Fulham, he won't be taking those. And obviously besides that, Loftus-Cheek is the other guy because he's always kind of popping up in the prep with Chelsea and then seems to be getting loaned out somewhere else. So we kind of talk about him. I also don't know enough about – I don't watch Fulham enough to play, but it seems like their fullbacks are always kind of popping off. I know Premier League teams like attacking fullbacks. So maybe one of those two. Who's their stud? I know Kieran –
Ola Aina was big for me.
Anderson.
I don't know if he'll go anywhere though.
The American guy.
Robinson?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't actually know if they're good or just Fulham, those style of players, allowing them to just get super far forward and pop in with the contribution from time to time, but you never know.
I think one of those guys, got Kieran like 30 points in a fantasy week or something.
Well, yeah, because I picked up Ola Aina and Anderson, and they both got clean sheets, and then in the next game, Aina assisted an Anderson goal, so
and he's still
double game week to get tons of points. Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe like Mitrovic, I guess, is still kind of a name. People might like him, but he was kind of a bum this year. I can't imagine someone really wants him.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, I don't see much for that Fulham squad getting picked apart.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
Be a pretty similar championship.
Yeah, and you got to remember too. Last year, Norwich was like pretty bad, to be honest, and everyone's like, "Oh, so many of their players are going to get bought. Pookie, Buendia, both the fullbacks. Everyone's going to get bought from this team." Cantwell, Kieran, and like I think Godfrey went to Everton. I think one of the fullbacks
and Jamal Lewis went to Newcastle.
And that was it, right?
That was it, yeah.
So honestly, it wouldn't shock me if like none of these Fulham guys got sold. But did you have anyone you wanted to add, Kieran? Can't remember.
I was thinking maybe their goalie Alphonse Areola might pull a Ramsdale and just get picked up by the team that's going to get relegated last next year.
Double relegation guy, Ramsdale again.
Yeah. But I don't know, like in the few games I've watched Fulham, he's looked like a pretty good goalie. So I could see, just a mid-table or lower table team going like, we could take a chance on him. He's one of those kind of solid goalies
before, right? So
yeah, like he played for PSG. I don't know how much he played, but
and then he went to Fulham. That should tell you all you need to know.
Well, wasn't he at Real Madrid last? Actually, wasn't he?
Real Madrid?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, I think he was bouncing around between those two.
Jeez, we got another Choupo-Moting on our hands. This guy could be playing for Stoke or Bayern Munich in the Champions League, and you wouldn't tell the difference.
Yeah. Other than Areola, I don't think that team's going to get stripped for parts much. I think they've got a few people on loan as well, so they're like they might just get recalled and you won't see them on Fulham. But yeah,
I mean, Madge was a fun player, but I mean, he was getting benched at Fulham, and he's a loanee. I can't imagine winning the Prem next year. He's a fun player because Sunderland. I don't even know.
I'm sure Madjo will pop up in the Premier League in like 5 years. Like he's still young. He's probably like 21, 22 now. I bet you he churns out a Premier League career eventually.
A nice Dwight Gale-esque Premier League career.
Yeah, or maybe the championship Premier League purgatory player. You never know. there's never a shortage of those strikers that kind of,
that bounce back and forth.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see how that one goes. Hopefully, Man U gets a clean sheet. I just picked up Bailly. Hopefully, he plays. Southampton Leeds. Interesting betting line. I think we might have some action on this one. But my question here, and we're kind of looking at a fantasy lens throughout this podcast a little bit, is next year's draft, and we know strikers go off the board quick. Who do you guys draft first, Patrick Bamford or Danny Ings, provided they're still in pretty much the same situations as they are now? Coach Cam, you've been lucky enough. You snagged Bamford. That's one of the big reasons why you had a successful season. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, if you can see right where my finger's pointing, that's actually Patrick Bamford right there, his jersey.
The chosen one.
Yeah, the chosen one. Oh, this is probably going to hurt some ears, but I actually don't like Danny Ings that much, so I'm going to have to go Patrick Bamford.
Ooh.
Yeah, just strictly because I don't really like him. And I don't know. I think no, on the other side of it, I think that Patrick Bamford, like I think I talked about this before, how the style of what Leeds play, he's been really well for them. I don't think he'd be good at any other team, specifically Leeds and how they operate. And I also think that Patrick Bamford, he may not have as good of a season as he did this year, but I believe he's either gonna be consistent moving up a little bit, whereas I think Danny Ings is going the other direction, where he's a little injury prone.
Yeah,
he kind of has that Aguero-esque feel to him in my eyes, where he may play some minutes for Southampton, he may not if he's injured a lot. So I'm gonna have to go with Patrick Bamford. I draft before Danny Ings.
There you go. We're going to go, so I expected that from Cam. I'm going to go to Keegs now because I think I can expect his answer, and then we'll have the tiebreakers in the middle, the neutral guys. Brother Keegs?
Well, I mean, I guess you made up my mind for me.
No, you don't have to, but what do you think?
No, I'm kidding. I was going Ings all the way. I mean, I think you got to go for a bit of consistency here. Ings has proven it for at least 2 seasons that he's a Premier League goal scorer. Bamford's just had the 1 3/4 season so far, because lately he hasn't really been doing much. And I mean, even going back to last week, obviously recency bias, but getting subbed out and Rodrigo comes on and scores 2 goals in his place. So
Rodrigo's
I don't know. I feel like Bamford's season's kind of, ever since he appeared on the Peter Crouch podcast, he's been focusing too much on the piano, and his playing's been petering out a little bit. I'm gonna go Ings for consistency, but I feel like both of these are prime overdraft candidates that might not want to touch.
Ooh, overdraft candidates. Ouch, says Patrick and Daniel. Sandy, you've always got a keen eye out for a striker. Drafted Shea in I wouldn't say a steal, but you got some solid value from him when most people were reaching for strikers. You actually found one that probably produced enough points for his draft slot this year. So who would you say next season, if you got the chance to draft them both, let's say, I don't know, second round, third round?
Yeah, maybe Shea wasn't a diamond in the rough, but maybe he's like a piece of iron in the rough or something. I don't know. He wasn't a rock. We'll say that much. I think it's a no-brainer with Bamford. I think Ings another year older, another year more banged up. Southampton. I mean, everyone's been ripping on Southampton. Just saying. And you always talk about Southampton probably going to be a relegation contender next year. It might get stripped a little bit. I mean, we know, they're just not going to be very good probably. So I don't know why you would go with Ings over a young, hungry player, marksman on a decent team.
There you go.
Unless you don't.
No, it's a strong Bamford supporter. Kieran, what do you got?
I'm gonna have to keep the split going because I'd probably take Ings.
I'm gonna have to break this tie. Damn it.
And because I don't like, after this season, I'm not going to gamble on any unknown commodities next year in the draft, whether I'm in Div 1 or Div 2. And you know what? I think second season syndrome is a real thing, and Leeds could definitely get hit by it. They just played a season where they were unreal. They came out and surprised a lot of teams. everybody's going to be ready for them next year. Everybody knows exactly what they're all about, and everybody's going to figure out a way to stop it. And we've seen Bamford slow down. We've seen Leeds not necessarily slow down like I thought they would, playing the high octane football all the time. But I just think second league syndrome is going to bite them. And Danny Ings has been doing it for a lot more than 2 seasons in the Premier League. So I'm taking him. I'm taking that reliable option. Everybody thought, I can't draft Harry Kane. I got to get somebody else ahead of him in the first round. And Liam said, you know what? I'll take a reliable goal scorer at like 10th in the first round. And look how that's turned out.
I was actually going to use that argument, Kieran, when you started talking about Ings as reliable. I think this is on a knife's edge. If I do have to break the tie, which I guess I kind of do here, I think I'd have to go Ings as well, just for the proven, and he's done it for many seasons. I do think Leeds will be better than Southampton next year. I understand where you're coming from, Kieran, with the second season syndrome, but I do think some teams, when they've got quality management, when they bring in good signings, when they know what they're doing, can rise above that. So I do think Leeds will be better than Southampton next year, but I would probably take Ings over Bamford if I had the choice. But I would be happy to have either or, to be honest with you, in my second or third round next year.
Yeah, can't argue with that logic. But you know what? Just because he's on a better team doesn't mean he's a better fantasy option.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Like I can see Leeds being better than Southampton next year, but you wouldn't take Timo Werner ahead of Harry Kane in fantasy, and
Exactly.
Timo Werner's on a better team.
Yeah, no, that's why ultimately I am going with Ings.
But there aren't very many good fantasy players on relegation teams. So
yeah,
if that's what your opinion of Southampton stock is these days.
Yeah. Hey, who knows? Maybe Ings will be starting for Man City next year, and then we really can get excited.
Stop.
Right, Coach Cam?
No, I was just gonna say that. I wasn't really gonna say anything. I was just gonna say stop. I don't think Ings is gonna be playing for Man City.
Yeah, no, I don't think he will actually.
First?
Speaking of Manchester City, they've been entertaining game against Newcastle. I'm sad I was working and missed it, but looks like it was filled with goals. They've got Brighton here. Brighton at home. Keegan, I think this is where we see a little bit of sneaky value. 7.0. Brighton, they'd like to raise their game a little bit against big teams. They think they can pass with the big boys. It could be a bit of a pass fest tomorrow afternoon. Do you think there's any value in Brighton?
I would absolutely love to tell you that there's value on Brighton, but the one reason that I don't think there's value in Brighton is just because, Man City didn't really play their strongest lineup against Newcastle this past week. Cam, is that fair to say?
That is very fair to say.
I think they kind of have to play their strongest lineup this game, because if they don't do it this game, the Champions League game's not this Sunday, but the following Sunday. And so it's either this game or their next game. You got to probably play your strong players in one of those games. Just keep them fresh. You can't have them out for 2 weeks, not really doing anything. So, I wouldn't be surprised to see Man City come out with a strong lineup here, and then maybe a weaker lineup in their last game of the season. But so that's why I'm a little hesitant to jump on Brighton here.
I think that's a great point, Keegan, and that is my worry as well. And that is my worry facing Sandy in fantasy. He's got De Bruyne. I think this is the De Bruyne game where he does come back and shakes off the rust and keeps it fresh. Having said that, I still think I'm going to go Brighton 7.0, but not you make a great point, and that does scare me a little bit.
Even with City's best lineup, Brighton are just frisky in games like that. So
exactly. On the City side of things, Keegan kind of touched on it. Their season is coming. They've won the title. Their season is coming down to the Champions League final, and we've had some kind of long-standing arguments about the City best 11. Coach Cam, I want you to name for me right now what City's starting 11 should be. Champions League final, May 29th, a couple weeks away.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Ederson in goal.
Not Scott Carson.
Yeah, not Carson.
That was pretty class. Yeah, that is, and he almost saved 2 actually. But yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Ederson in net. Kyle Walker at right fullback. Ruben Diaz and John Stones at center backs and João Cancelo at left back. I'd probably have Rodri in the midfield with Gundogan and De Bruyne. And then I'd have Riyad Mahrez, Phil Foden, and Raheem Sterling.
I can't argue with that. I think you've pretty much nailed it. Anyone have anything that they want to pick apart on that? Or maybe just to create an argument, anything that you could see possibly changing? I could see.
Does he play Sterling?
I think he's got
very out of form.
Yeah, he is very out of form.
Like I think Keegan was just about to say it.
Yeah, the toughest decision was I actually had Bernardo Silva at first, but I don't know. It just seems when Bernardo Silva plays, Riyad Mahrez is a strictly right wing player. And Bernardo Silva obviously likes to play on the right side, but Pep plays the rotation of the front three, a fluent rotation. I don't know, Riyad Mahrez doesn't really like to go anywhere else other than the right side. So usually when they do that, they'll have Bernardo Silva kind of drop in the midfield a little bit. And I just think against Chelsea, something about Raheem Sterling seems like it's the right move. Because contrary to Riyad Mahrez or Phil Foden, who are, I think, a little more technical and are beating players based on evasive dribbling, Raheem Sterling's able to beat players on just pure pace. And I think that can hurt players like Christensen. Last time they played, Kurt Zouma had a real struggle against Raheem Sterling. So I think I don't know. I just believe that Raheem Sterling's going to play. And even though he's out of form, I think that this would be the perfect game to kind of watch himself back to form. But I wouldn't be surprised if Bernardo Silva's played instead of Raheem Sterling. So,
anyone else? I could see, and I'm not sure I'd agree with this, Cam, but I could see Pep playing Zinchenko at left back, just because I think he really trusts him. I'm not sure I love Zinchenko, I believe Zinchenko played the second leg of PSG. Did he start that game?
No, he got subbed in.
Maybe he got subbed in, but there was it seemed like Pep was kind of, because Cancelo was having a tough time, and then maybe that's what it is. He subbed in Zinchenko. So I could see maybe he plays Zinchenko there.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think that Cancelo's 1-v1 defending is pretty poor, but he's really good on the ball, and he also is the player that usually will come into midfield and create the back three with Walker, Diaz, and Stones. And I think it was an issue because of players like Neymar, Mbappe in the first leg. So even Di Maria was giving him a hard time. I don't know. Maybe Pulisic is like a pretty tricky, fast player. And like Werner's strictly fast, but he also plays down the middle. So I can see City having a lot of the ball and him relying on Cancelo a little more because they'll have more possession. But yeah, Zinchenko being left-footed at left back and more solid defensively is always a good option. So I can also see that change. That's a good point.
Yeah, fair enough. I guess only time will tell, but I think you have nailed their best 11 there to go on. And I mean, I'll be cheering for you. Even though I hate City and Chelsea, I hate Chelsea a little bit more. So I'll be cheering for City in that game. Keeks, is that a drive? Am I getting away with one there?
Why are you going for City over Chelsea?
Because I think Pike and Marco after a win would be more annoying than Cam, and that's pretty much my reasoning.
I don't know about that. You can just mute that group chat and not really have to worry about them. I just have to interact with them a little bit more. So
I don't think I'm going to be as I would never. I don't know. I'd probably boast that it's the first time ever winning, not boast that like they're better than everybody else. If that makes sense.
I've already done it in a sense. So do we really need to add City to that list? I think I'd prefer to see City not have that one thing.
Well, United have 2 Champions Leagues, so I'd rather not see Chelsea tie them.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a big thing, because then Pike and Marco. You got to give credit to Pike and Marco. That's how this is a good thing, boys. You guys are annoying as fans. You are in my head so much that I hate your team more than any other one. And there, so I mean, give yourselves a pat on the back for that.
I thought you were gonna say, Liam, that you want City to win because they deserve to win, but
no, I'm far beyond caring about who deserves to win.
Okay, that's
lesser
fair.
of two evils.
Okay.
It's also with City, no one really cares. Like when they win the league title, everyone's just like, oh, next year, it's like move on to next year. No one really thinks about it too much because it's just City and they're not really, they don't have the history, they don't have the fans. It's just like whatever, new money. I think it doesn't really bother anyone in England, as opposed to all the true rivalries, all the blue blood rivalries, which are real. Maybe I'm a little off on that, but
No, I
feels like
feel
no
that.
one's too bothered with City. It's
think
just like,
because-
oh, on the next year.
And also, it's kind of widely accepted that City is probably the best team in the world. So I feel like everyone just be like, yeah, they probably should have won. Like they're going to win it eventually. They've been spending millions and bringing in the best manager, so it was probably inevitable. So
You
if
don't
Chelsea
like to
won it, I'd be a little more pissed, because then Pike would believe that Chelsea is the best team in the world, and he'd have a solid argument.
Yeah.
Also, if Cam's getting arrogant, you can just tell him bottle the title in fantasy and take the wind up with sales a little bit.
Yeah, there you go.
Cut him down with that one.
Yeah. Well, Sandy, I thought you were on my side. You got to beat Liam this week. Let's calm down for a second.
Fuck. I'm not cheering for either of you clowns. I'm rooting for Bill.
That's right.
Dark horse.
That's a great one, Sandy. That's a great
Kieran's
one.
going to beat Bill. You're going to beat Liam. I'm going to beat Cody. And then we're going to have a real race the last final day.
Anyways, so yeah, I guess that transitions nicely to Leicester. And yeah, I want to give Leicester a bit of credit here myself, because earlier in the season, I was like, what the heck, Leicester, when they, went out of the Europa League to, was it Sparta Prague or something, Slavia Prague, some god-awful team. And I was like, guys, this is a great opportunity for you to win a trophy. You're Leicester City. You've had some success in recent years, but you're not going to get a ton of chances to win trophies. Give it your all. And I don't think they did. But I just wanted to give them some credit here because, FA Cup, they had some good wins along the way. Manchester United, Chelsea in the final. And this is just another step in them cementing their spot in the top, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, top 4, top 6. I don't know if it's premature to say top 4 team in England moving forward, but I think definitely they're probably looking at a top 6. And it's a tough club. It's an exclusive club to break into, and it looks like they're well on their way and adding some domestic trophies. City's been dominant in domestic trophies recent years, so I think that's fantastic for Leicester, and hopefully they can do it again here. How worried should Chelsea be, Sandy?
Top 4 being Leicester, City, Chelsea, and Liverpool, right? That's what the top 4 is. Unanimous.
No, sir.
Okay. Debatable, I guess, still.
Yeah, exactly.
I think Chelsea's probably pretty scared right now because there's a lot of pressure to win. Things could go really horribly here. The pressure of things going completely off the rails is imminent. So they have to decide, do we focus on Premier League, which they should? Do we focus on Champions League? You got to do one. You have to succeed in one.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a very real possibility that they don't. And so that fear is going to be difficult to deal with, I think.
So yeah, if you had to pick,
I think there's a shit ton of pressure.
Do you think they make both top 4 and win the Champions League? Do you think they do one or the other, or do you think they miss out on both?
I think they're going to bottle it.
Really?
Completely bottle
Both of them?
Yeah. You're going to be a little distracted by Champions League. You're going to slip up one of these two. Liverpool will ride this momentum, and they're probably not going to beat City. So I think they're going to bottle it.
Wow. I think they, and this really kills me to say it, but I've had an awful feeling about that final for a little while. And it's kind of the same awful feeling I had when Gonzaga played Baylor in college basketball. And I hate Baylor because I have a buddy who's a Baylor fan, and I just knew they were going to win. I kind of feel a little bit about that for Chelsea as the underdogs against City. Hope I'm wrong, but I think they might miss out on top 4 and then win the Champions League and just be like, who cares about top 4? We won the Champions League. We're the best team in the world. And that's what we're going to have to deal with. Any other predictions down at the bottom there from the Hazards?
Well, I think they're just moving into a little purple patch of form that's a little bit worrying. So I'd be concerned if I was a Chelsea fan. Thankfully, United have fuck all to play for.
Yeah. I don't know if purple patch is the right word, Keegan, because that would imply they're doing well, but
isn't purple a bad thing? It's like a bruise.
No, a purple patch is you're doing well.
I think it's supposed to be like the berries are ripe and it's purple berries. But
Just
if
a little
anyone knows
cabbage patch of farm.
if
I always
anyone
thought it was like a bruise.
yeah,
Kind of,
that makes sense too. If anyone knows the origins of the word of the saying a purple patch, and if it's positive or negative, let us know.
okay, well, I just want to clarify that they're in a bit of bad form here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, I kind of figured that's what you meant, but yeah, I don't know. My heart is telling me, oh yes, I can't wait for them to bottle it against Leicester again after Marco's been talking about how, we were prioritizing top 4. We don't care about the FA Pigeons Cup.
Yeah.
And I just really hope that comes to bite them in the ass, but I just don't think it will. I'm worried. I think they're going to make top 4. They're going to lose to City though. But yeah, I think I see it happening. They're going to grind it out, get top 4, and then Pike's going to talk about how great it is that they were in the Champions League final, even though, you still lost.
There you go. The consistent part of our predictions is Pike running his mouth. And I think that's the safest bet. Cam, do you have any? I mean, you're very biased on the Champions League. But do you think they bottle top 4? Maybe what about this game? Give us your general thoughts.
This is so, this is pretty tough because at the most ideal scenario is they draw this game 0-0.
Yep. For our podcast, absolutely.
Yep. Then they lose the next 2 matches, or the last match. Leicester win their last match, and then they lose against City. I don't know if that would put them out of top 4. Because Liverpool
down for that. I think that probably would, depending on Liverpool.
If Liverpool win both matches too, actually, that's actually true. I don't know. It would be nice if this game ended a draw. Chelsea didn't make the top 4, and City beat them in the Champions League.
Is this too much to ask for, soccer gods? Because I could sign up for what Coach Cam just proposed.
Yeah. I'd be down for that. In terms of, that'd be a good scenario. Any scenario that is causing Leicester, because I want Leicester to also be in the top 4. So if Leicester could go in the top 4, Chelsea not being in the top 4, and this game ending 0-0, that's the scenario I want. I don't even know if that's possible.
Well, I think that's the perfect way, Cam, is if this game ends like 0-0 or they tie, then Leicester stay ahead, and I think Leicester end up going clear of Liverpool, because I think that would put them 6 points ahead. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think if they get a point in their next 2 games, they're clear of Liverpool. So if that happens, then the only team Liverpool can catch, I think, is Chelsea. So that would be amazing. Let's do that.
All right. Well, we'll see how it plays out. I will be looking forward to that game, the late game on Saturday. The late game on Tuesday. The Saturday of the midweek is Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. We'll move it on to Sunday. Speed it up a little bit here. Everton Wolves. What is wrong with Everton? I didn't have anything written down here. I just said open invitation to just rip on Everton. I can't believe, if I was thinking, if Allisson hadn't scored and I would have been cheering hard for Calvert-Lewin to score or Coleman to keep a clean sheet for you to lose, Cam, and then they just lose 1-0 to Sheffield, I would have been so pissed. But I don't know. Does anyone else want to just bury Everton as Kieran? Go ahead. I don't even know what to say about it.
Well, I just, like me and Keegan were saying in the group chat when it was coming down to this game, and he said that stuff, and he's like, and I'm like, yeah, well, but you can't trust Everton. And
no, you
Keegan's like, well, yeah, but who are they going to screw? I'm trusting them to help me out, but Keegan's trusting them to help him out by losing, and it's just, who are they going to screw? At one point, you cannot trust Everton to do anything for you, and I found out in the harshest way.
Yeah. What was your confidence scale that, you get the clean sheet that you need against Sheffield United, one of the worst teams in Prem history at home?
I'm going to be, well, I saw the game before was the West Brom Liverpool game where I was thinking, all right, all I need is Jota plays, Dieng plays, and Johnston plays, and Holgate plays for Everton, and I catch Marco and I beat him, and that's perfect. But as soon as I saw Jota and Dieng not in the starting 11s, I went, yeah, this is it. This is a sign that I'm losing this week. And I just started praying that Everton would pull through, and that's when they get you. As soon as you think they can do it for you. So I might have been confident because they're playing one of the worst teams the Prem's ever seen, but yeah, I shouldn't have been confident at all.
There you go. Yeah, on the Wolves side, not too much to report there. They've been kind of petering out for the last couple months, and I felt like I've said that every week, so we'll just leave that at that. Newcastle, Sheffield United. So Newcastle's last few fixtures here, they put 4 past Leicester at Leicester. They put 3 past City, although a rotated City, but I mean, that's still a strong group when City even throws out a rotated side. They had, I think, a draw with Liverpool in there that they should have won, if you remember that game with the disallowed goals. Coach Cam, is Newcastle fun now after, the whole season being not fun and an absolute slog to watch? Are they a fun team?
Yeah, it's almost like the moment that they knew that they couldn't get relegated anymore is when they turned it up. Like the last 3 games,
Yeah.
they're like, yeah, might as well fucking play like we're playing out in the schoolyard, because it doesn't matter if we win or lose. We can't move up that high and we can't get relegated. But yeah, they actually are pretty fun. I watched the City game, and yeah, like some City players haven't played a Premier League game in 10 years or whatever it was for Scott Carson or whatever. It was really crazy. But they actually were threatening, more threatening than some other teams that have played City in the past. They're kind of electric in their counterattack. Like, I don't know. I didn't realize how fast Almiron. I didn't even realize Jolinton can run, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, they look pretty good. If they can just scramble a signing or two to toughen up their back four a little bit, like, I have a lot of faith in Callum Wilson, Jolinton, Almiron, St. Maximin, even Matt Ritchie to kind of be the goal scorer or playmakers of the team. So yeah, just find a signing that works. And even the goalkeeper situation is a little dodgy, because I think their goalie got injured. Darlow was injured, and then Dubravka came in.
They've kind of been flip-flopping the past couple of seasons.
Yeah.
But sometimes start Dubravka, Darlow gets a run. So
yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I really hope that Joe Willock stays as well.
Yeah, he's been fun since he went there. I chirped him, but he's proven me wrong. And
yeah, so I hope he stays. I think he's a pretty decent fit for them. Well, we scored with 6 goals or 7 goals now. Like,
wow, that is quite a good January signing contribution. On the Sheffield side, go ahead, Andy.
Just about Joe Willock, while I was doing some research earlier. This is a pretty cherry pick stat, but I ran across it. Youngest player since Jose Antonio Reyes in 2004, whoever that is, to score 5 and 5. So Joe Willock,
Arsenal legend.
Arsenal, yeah.
Next Jose Antonio Reyes.
There you
Arsenal
go.
and Sevilla legend, I believe.
Antonio Reyes. The fun part, though, on the Sheffield side of things, Jebison. What's his Keegan? You're gonna have to fill me in. I don't even know his first name. Does he have a first name? Is he Brazilian, Canadian? Where's this guy from? How did he get to Sheffield? And how did he end up winning or saving you your fantasy season? Tell me about that.
I could basically read you off his Wikipedia page here, but no, I'm kidding. Yeah, I don't know. Well, he came off the bench in the last game, and it was funny because I was like to my dad, I was like, oh well, the way forwards are, I should pick up this 17-year-old Canadian. Obviously didn't end up doing it, and then I saw that he started the game, and I even messaged before the game. I was like, oh no way. So born in Oakville, Ontario, came through the he played League One Ontario with A&B football. I know we've played with a lot of guys at our school that played in that league as well, Liam.
Yeah. So
that's pretty cool. And then he moved to England, been at Sheffield ever since their under 18 team. And I guess that must have moved along pretty quick, considering he's only 17 now. So
yeah,
pretty cool to see a Canadian.
Can I get a first name? Does he have a first name?
Daniel Jebison.
Daniel Jebison. There you go.
The son of 2 immigrant parents. The father is steel worker, the mother is kidding.
It actually did say on his Wikipedia page that I think his mother was from England and his father was from Jamaica. So it's funny that you actually
Kieran, you were saying he is the youngest player to ever score on his full debut?
Yeah.
Bit of a cherry pick stat as well, but
yeah, a bit of a cherry pick stat as well. But he is the youngest player to score on his full Premier League debut in the history of the Premier League. Now that's might just be since the Premier League started in '93, but that's
Either way,
pretty impressive. That kid ended up condemning me to relegation in fantasy Premier League.
And shout out to, was it Jack Robinson with the run? He basically ran through the Everton left side or right side and put it on a plate for him. So
if it was someone that was going to do this to me, then hey, why not some kid from Canada
that we'll never hear from again?
Yep.
I don't know.
He's going to the championship.
He seems like he might have the tools to do well in the championship. 6'3", big lad.
Yeah,
might lock it up a bit. And
he's only 17 too.
And I mean, his goal was a tap in, but it was a good bit of movement to get free there. So
yeah, who picked him up in fantasy this week?
I think it was Cody. I forgot to check my
Cody
waivers to grab.
Wow,
Cody's picking him up, so next week he can put one more nail in my coffin.
Yeah.
Cody also picked up Jaden Bogle that one time he started, and we haven't seen
Cody's
him.
got an eye on the Sheffield. He's got his ear to the ground. His sources at Sheffield are letting him know.
How about Keegan throwing some shade at me in the group chat? And I was like, do you guys know Jefferson's Canadian? Keegan's like, yeah, that's why we're talking about him. Like, we wouldn't talk about any other 17-year-old guy. I was like, okay. He doesn't even represent Canada. I thought it might be an unknown. He represents England, actually. Keegan, yeah, that's what we're talking about, dumbass.
I've known
Tottenham, Aston Villa. Sandy, this is purely selfish question. Grealish watch. I saw he came on. Did he look good? I don't know if you saw him. Is he going to start? What's the deal here?
I think he's going to start, yeah. And I'm going to bet on Villa just for some fun. Just so I can – hopefully he can have a good day and ruin your title hopes in fantasy. And I'll be the happiest little boy in the world.
There you go. Sandy scares me when he starts trying because he's got some potential out there.
Well, I don't worry. I haven't made a transaction. I'm still rocking Johanberg, Gudmundsson, and Kieran Clark on my roster.
No,
I think.
The other standout player for Aston Villa this season, Martinez. Do you think he stays, Keegan, or do you think he can go to one of the bigger teams and make them better, or does he go to a different league maybe?
I don't know. It's tough to say. Third most clean sheets in the Prem right now, behind Mendy and Ederson, I believe, with 15 clean sheets, which is actually currently tying Aston Villa's all-time record for clean sheets. If anyone could name the who holds it with him.
Peter Schmeichel.
I think Brad, and yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's the only goal I would know on Villa.
Wow.
Yeah. But anyways, fun little stat for you guys. Post shot expected goals, the best way to measure goalie shot stopping ability, ranks him second in the Premier League, only behind Alphonse Areola in terms of plus minus compared to their goals. So that was pretty interesting right there. And I know Kieran mentioned Areola as well. So in terms of shot stopping, according to that metric, at least he's the best goalie in the Prem. So might as well stick around next year and get relegated. But yeah, Martinez. I think he's a great goalie based on this season. I don't know if there's too many goalies in the Prem that are actually better than him. So I think he could probably walk in just about anywhere about now.
There you go. On the Tottenham side of things, kind of buried the lead on this one, but Harrison, Archibald, Kane, the fourth, hands in his transfer request. Well, I don't know if he officially hands one in, but he says, I don't want to play on Tottenham anymore, but I want to stay in the Premier League. What a bombshell to drop. It's got Manchester United fans excited. It's got Chelsea fans excited, and it's got Man City fans excited because you'd have to think it's one of those three teams. Maybe you guys are going to go off the board, but I wanted to open this one up to all of you guys. We'll start at the top of my screen. Coach Cam, who does he go to and why? And what does that team do next season with the services of Mr. Muffin in my mouth, Kane?
This is actually a really tough question because I'm going to say Manchester City for two reasons. The first is because I know Manchester City are kind of secretly looking for a striker. I know Pep Guardiola went on and said that they don't have enough money to buy players and they don't have
And
the
you don't
funds to
believe
buy
that?
Holland.
You think Pep would just? You think they actually have money, Manchester City? That doesn't sound like them.
Yeah, I know it's hard to believe that Manchester City can get money out of the blue, but they definitely have the funds to buy literally anybody they really want. But yeah, I think that Harry Kane is. I honestly believe that Holland is better than Harry Kane when it comes, but one-on-one, comparing them side by side. But I think Harry Kane might be the better transfer option just because of his experience in the Premier League. So, and I know if I'm thinking this, I'm sure players that are staff and managers at City are definitely thinking the same thing. And if there's other teams that are high on Holland, like I know United wants to get on Holland, then I think City can swoop in and take Harry Kane from Tottenham and turn him into. I know he was complaining. I read this. He was complaining about not winning trophies. And how Kyle Walker, his move from Tottenham to City, he's won all these trophies, and Harry Kane is at Tottenham and stayed and has none. So I think he'd be a perfect fit too, because Gabriel Jesus, you all know, I don't think he's that good. I don't rate him highly at all. And Aguero's leaving to Barca, so it'd be good to see Harry Kane at City, and that's where I'm going to put him.
Kane to City, says Cam. What say you, Sandy?
That's like the worst case scenario for everyone, the world.
Yeah, you guys are already too good, Cam. Spread the wealth.
I don't know. Maybe he would ruin it though. You never know. Throw a good striker in there and say he wouldn't know what to do. I think. I don't. I mean, it's kind of weird, right? Because usually you wouldn't have a player of that big a stature be sold to like a rival or all the big teams. But you can't really imagine Harry Kane playing like the freaking La Liga or something, the Serie A.
No.
So it's a tough call. I think if I had a bet on any of Arsenal should be trying their little hearts out to get him, but won't go there. I think United, you guys might have a good shot there, especially if you missed the kind of can't talk about Haaland. Seems like a decent landing spot.
Yeah. Kieran?
Well, I think we all know where I want him to go is Man United, but I don't think he's going to end up there. I think he's going to end up staying because penny pincher himself, Daniel Levy, is not going to let him go for less than, just a ridiculous sum of money. And I don't think United are going to go in for him this summer simply because they want to win the Holland sweepstakes next summer, because Dortmund are firmly entrenched on not selling Holland this summer. And I think that's why Man United signed Cavani for another year, because they're determined to get Holland next summer. So they keep Cavani, and you got to think Cavani was like, I'm going to be the starting striker next year, or else I'll just go to Boca Juniors. I don't care. And they said, yep, you're our guy next year. Sign a 1-year deal, because they said, if Harry Kane's available, we're going to get Holland next year because we want that young guy for the future. And yeah, so I think he's staying.
Yeah, fair enough. I got to say, though, if Man United passes up on a chance to sign Kane, you better be damn sure that you're signing Holland.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to miss out on both.
I don't like it. I'd rather they just buy Harry Kane right now. I don't care if you piss off Edison Cavani. Buy Harry Kane. But I just don't think it's happening.
I guess the question is, a Harry Kane in the hand is worth how many Hollands in the bush? Brother Keegs, you want to weigh in on this?
Yeah, I'd love to.
And also the original.
To answer your question, I'd say one Harry Kane's probably worth Holland and a half in the bush.
Okay, that's what I was probably thinking as well.
No, I think what I could see happening would be Kane going to City, which is an absolutely terrifying thought because, I think he'd kind of fit in their system as well. I mean, he showed off his playmaking ability this season with a pretty ridiculous amount of assists. He's obviously lethal in front of goal. I think that would be scary. My only hope would be that it would somehow throw off the balance there somehow and kind of end up screwing.
That'd be an absolute prayer.
I don't know how. I'm praying to God. And then I think United probably end up with Haaland if City, because realistically, Haaland's, I've already mentioned it, I think his two destinations are either City or United. And I think realistically, Kane, if he moves, his destinations are either City or United. So I think Haaland would probably be a better fit for United. Well, I think Kane's brilliant, but in terms of, I'm not comparing the players, I'm just comparing the teams. I think Kane would fit in brilliantly at both places, but even better at City. And I think that Haaland would fit in much better at United than he would at City. So I could see it kind of going that way. And I think if it goes that way as well, then you can kind of have Cavani, obviously the old veteran, kind of take Haaland under his wing, maybe teach him a couple things to refine his game about movement. And maybe even if they play two up front together, that'd be a pretty lethal combo.
Yeah, that would you make a good point there. I'm personally scared he goes to Chelsea. I think they'll be able to throw enough money at him. I think, he probably would like to avoid going to another London club, but at the end of the day, I think money could talk. And I mean, that's just another reason for us to be cheering for Leicester tomorrow. And hopefully, if Chelsea doesn't have Champions League, then I don't think he'll go there, but I'm a little bit scared of him going to Chelsea. But yeah, all the situations you guys just outlined there are tantalizing. I'm looking forward to the Kane going to Manchester City and Keegan's coming on with I actually think this makes them worse take. So we'll look forward to that for next season's preview, and we can all
I can see what Keegan's saying, because when we were talking about the one thing I thought of is Thanos having 5 Infinity Stones and the last one being Harry Kane coming in. So and then ultimately he dies, he loses, right?
Spoilers much?
Well, yeah, it's what it is. Sorry, the movie's only been out since 2018. Sorry, everybody.
Spoilers for the highest grossing movie ever.
Yeah. So I can see how that could be the thing, but yeah, I also thought that I'm assuming United fans, you probably wanted Martial gone, right? Like they need to sell him off.
I wouldn't cry if he left, but
yeah, that'd probably be the move for sure. Then if they end up signing Harry Kane or Haaland, so they probably have some moving around of players. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, Lee, like you said about him not wanting to go to Chelsea because he'd end up being sole Judas Campbell 2.0 if he went to a rival London club like that.
Yeah, and I do think Kane cares about his Tottenham legacy, to be honest with you. I do think all right, I think we're going to move pretty quickly through these ones, so I might save the Arsenal question for next week. On the Crystal Palace side of things, though, Coach Cam, because I know last week we spoke about they need Zaha, but honestly, Eze had a heck of a game against Villa. He's really been turning it on lately. Can he just move into Zaha's role maybe, and they can sell Zaha for big money and reinvigorate the squad?
Yeah, I think at first, I think that's actually probably the best move. Is at first I know manager was scared to sell Wilfried Zaha. He's been so important to the club for years and years and years, and maybe that's why they were a little hesitant to selling him to maybe United or I don't know. I think Zaha would be great at a team like Tottenham, to be honest. But now that Eze's kind of picked it up, because I know at first he wasn't the best or wasn't really finding form, right? But now he's really picking it up, and I think this would be the best. If they don't sell Zaha this summer, then I don't think he's ever going to go, to be honest. This has to be the time where they found a player that they can use to almost replace Zaha. And then use the funds from him to buy a player to almost build around as preferably a striker if I was the manager. But I think it's now or never. Zaha has to go. It's now or never. I personally don't think Eze is currently better than Zaha, but being young,
it wouldn't be a huge step down.
It wouldn't be a huge step down at all. And I think after a couple seasons, he's finally finding his way into the Premier League. I think he's going to be a Zaha type-esque player that's going to make a real difference at Crystal Palace. And they need to sell Zaha before he starts lowering in value as he rises in value. So
Mhm.
I think this summer they need to let Zaha go and let Eze take the torch.
On the Arsenal side of things, I had a bit of a longer one, but we're gonna, I think, bookmark that. I did want to shout out Smith Rowe for his goal last week. How he almost missed it. He kind of scuffed the shot after, Jorginho put it back and basically gifted Arsenal a goal. And Smith Rowe was very close to missing it. It would have been super funny if he did miss it, because then it would have been the old it would have been a pass back, right, from Jorginho, because Kepa handled it. So I think they were playing the advantage. So I don't know if he misses that. Do they call it back and it's a free kick on the goal line or the 6-yard box or whatever?
Yeah, it's on the 6-yard box. It would have been Liam because it happened on the goal line.
But do they still get a second chance? It's almost you miss
I don't think
there.
they do.
You shouldn't get, the advantage. That was the advantage, Smith Rowe, and you had a 4-yard shot that you missed.
But the argument is he's literally stopped a goal from going in, guaranteed no matter what. So do you then be like, well, they didn't score, so you got to give them. Yeah.
I don't know. That's
tough.
actually a tough one. Yeah.
Well, it's a good thing he didn't miss. He went post and just to make it look cool. Yeah, it'd be a good little London rivalry there. I wouldn't be shocked if Palace won that, to be honest, but I don't think I'll bet them. All right, the big topic for this week, we saved it at the end here. Allisson, Cam complained about it a little bit, but yeah, Allisson strides up. I laughed out loud seeing him come up. I was like, as if this is going to do anything. And I guess West Brom just said the same thing as me, as if this guy's going to do anything, and left them completely and utterly alone. And it just goes perfectly to him. Perfect header. What a moment. Sandy and Keegan, you guys are both goalies. Sandy, you've been a goalie for a little bit longer. Have you ever scored a goal? And maybe was it a header? Walk us through your goal scoring exploits as a longtime goalkeeper.
No, never a similar situation like that. It's one of the tough things about always being on teams that are so good. You don't get as many opportunities, Yeah. Been very successful my whole life, so don't find myself like that. Yeah, but that is the dream. I couldn't believe how quality that header was, to be honest. I mean, I've definitely gotten a few flicks on things and maybe a couple, scrambles here and there, but most goalies don't spend too much time practicing headers. So I was thinking maybe this is the problem with Liverpool this season. Their goalies have been freaking working on corners and heading too much. Not spending enough time saving balls. But I actually did. I had a couple goals on my resume in high school. Obviously playing for TA, smaller school, and I think I was in grade 12. I was by far the class of the team, I guess you could say. And so H being H, he would let me come up and take pens sometimes. Obviously Patch was in Thunder Bay, so that was kind of fun. I think I had a couple that year. It was a little weird because I wasn't very good at pens, so I think I rolled a couple in the corner. And,
a little.
The alternatives is probably like Woody, who's actually shout to Woody. He's actually way better at pens than me probably, but I guess I had the power differential over him.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, what else was I gonna say? Oh yeah, in terms of the dream situation for the goalie, that's gotta be number one. I don't know if Keegan has any disagreement, but that's like your number one wet dream would be to come up and score a 90th minute winner.
Yeah.
Followed maybe closely by like a 90th minute pen save. And then I don't know what else would be up there. There's not a whole lot of joys as a goalie.
Yeah.
But maybe like a little, springing a counterattack with a sick little half volley over the last defender. That's a pretty satisfying feeling. But yeah, there's definitely nothing that would come close to it. So maybe it's someday I'll be so lucky.
Brother Keegs, you said you haven't scored a goal, eh?
No, I don't even think I've ever even as a keeper gone up into the other box. I guess similar to Sandy, never been losing and needed to. But no, I completely agree with that being the pinnacle of a keeper's career, because every keeper kind of fancies themselves as a bit of a player, a bit of a goal scorer in training and stuff like that. So it also is the kind of thing where it's like 90 minutes, your team hasn't, obviously they scored once, but 90 minutes, your outfield players haven't done anything. And then it's it's just kind of like, okay, well, you know what? Not only do I have to save all the shots, but I'm just going to come up and do your guys' job a little bit as well.
It's a little embarrassing for the Liverpool players in a way.
Yeah. So it's just kind of one of those ultimate macho moments where it's like, come on, guys, this is how it's done. And, but yeah, super satisfying no matter how much anyone's cheering against Liverpool in a situation like that. You watch it happen, you just can't help but applaud Allisson, and seemed like an unbelievable moment for him, his press conference after the game, and even during the celebration, you see the tears in his eyes. So pretty satisfying moment for soccer to see it.
100%.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna add something quick. I think like thinking back on Alisson's like season with how poorly he's been in some games, how he was mistake prone and his father passing. I think this is literally the perfect moment like to save Liverpool's season.
Yeah, it couldn't happen to it couldn't have happened to a better goalie in that sense in terms of a redemption moment.
Yeah, like I think that was just like obviously hearing about it, I obviously wasn't happy at all. I was gonna throw up. It was so crazy for me to think about, but I watching the goal after it was brilliant, and the emotion that followed was really sentimental. So I liked it.
There you go. Yeah, I was gonna say, someone mentioned like the goalies fancy themselves a goal scorer. Alisson's definitely, that guy that's like every scrimmage Liverpool has, he's like, all right, I'll go striker. I'll go striker, guys. Don't worry. And now he's finally got his moment. He's like, see, I told you. Meanwhile,
let me mix in the striker drills for a sec here. I'll show you guys how it's done.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he'll be living off that one for a while. On the West Brom side of things, just to touch on them, like I don't know. Like he was so wide open. Is that like just a thing? You're like, well, I guess we're outnumbered now, so we'll leave the goalie. But you'd think, I don't know, someone would have a body on them, or at least close, because it was a good header, but I could not believe how wide open he was.
Well, I mean, you got to think there's just like, they all probably thought the same thing you did, Liam, when they saw him running up. It's like, yeah, whatever. Goalie, even if he gets his head on it, it's probably going to go the opposite way. Like, we're not worried about this.
We actually want him to win the header, so we're going to leave him wide open and tightly mark everyone else.
Yeah. So it's...
They probably didn't think Allisson would be making the run to the top of the six. The primetime spot, they got the goalie in there.
It's a weird situation because I know, like, when we're going over set pieces, we have we're very structured in defending corners. So playing against like 10 other players, and even when we're a man down, we also are structured in that sense. So I'm not really sure what West Brom was doing, because they should have treated it like they were playing a man down.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it's also happening so quickly. It's not really hard to adjust. And yeah, like I'm assuming they were like, there's no way that he's going in to actually come score. He's just going in to be in. Like, I don't know.
Well, I don't think it's like a situation where it's like, oh, he's not a threat, so we don't have to mark him. I mean, I think you'd have to assume like, oh, well, what is he, like 6'3", 6'4"? I think you have to assume that he's a little bit more of a threat to even flick on the ball than like Shaqiri or something.
Yeah.
I think it just comes out of nowhere. It's not like beforehand someone's like, oh, make sure you're on him or something. Like, he just kind of comes out of nowhere and then, oh shit, there's a goalie there.
Yeah, Keegan. You'd think in all those slides that they show the substitutes before they come on about all the set pieces and everything, they'd have one for the goalie, but I guess not.
Yeah, honestly.
It's kind of indicative of West Brom's season. They've been so sloppy on defense all year, and then they just end off with a goalie scoring on them in the 95th minute.
Yeah.
Very, very West Brom. All right, guys.
Yeah, what was the other one they had recently that was just a shocker too?
It was the Bartley chesting it down and just leaving it there for someone to score, right?
Variolento was pulling out his hair when that happened.
That was so embarrassing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Yeah.
Time to get into the bet. We don't have totals from last week because we are still ongoing here. So I'm trying to let my dog up on the bed, but sorry, interruption. Anyways, why don't we go with Coach Cam? You're at the top of my screen. Give us your bets for the week.
Yeah, of course. So I'm putting $5 on Man United and Leeds parlay. I'm putting 5 on a Newcastle West Ham parlay. I have a 5 on Edison Cavani and Mikel Antonio to score. Void if they're not playing, of course.
Absolutely.
And then I have $5 on Tottenham halftime, Villa full time, and that actually pays $205. I think it's 41 to 1. So, yeah.
There you go, Coach Cam. Big swinging big, as per usual. Sandy, what do you got?
I got Villa 10 for 60. I'm gonna go Brighton City. I'm a little nervous about this one. No, I'm not gonna bet that one. I'm gonna go Villa 10 for 60. Newcastle 15 to win 28, and then I'm gonna go with the United game or whatever, the Leicester Chelsea 0-0. I'm sticking to my guns, not trying to hurt the boys right now.
There you go. Kieran,
Confidence is shook.
had a tough one last time out. What you got now?
Yeah, I think my issue last time is I was betting draws, and nobody wants to see boring crap like that. So we're getting away from betting draws and stupid stuff like that. I'm gonna veer a little bit off script and not bet $5 on this one. Instead, go $10 on Leeds to win that game. And then we go back to normal. I'm gonna take Leicester to win for $5. So just in case they actually pull off the win, the pod can still get something out of that game. And then I've got a couple parlays. I've got Kane, Calvert-Lewin, and Bamford all to score. $5 pays 35. And then instead of going for a chalk parlay, like I keep messing up, because if we've learned anything on this pod is that chalk parlays are never chalk parlays. And taking West Ham, Newcastle, and Arsenal, $5 to pay 21. So yeah, that's my betting.
All right, there you go. So what I learned from that, Kieran, is Chelsea's just going to win, and we're all going to lose money, and we're all going to be sad.
Yep, exactly.
Damn it. Brother Keegs, last but not least, I'll go last, but not least. Whatever. Go ahead. Give us your bet. That was tough.
I'll take. I mean, we already had the 0-0 Chelsea Leicester. I'll also take Leicester in that one. So there's room for a massive heartbreak there for me. But that's just what I love to torture myself. I'll throw 5 on Leeds, 5 on Wolves, 5 on Villa, 5 on Brighton. And with the Leicester, that's a bunch of big underdogs there. So hopefully 2 of them come off. I'm pretty much only betting underdogs so far. All those are kind of pretty far except Leeds. But anyway, and then I'm going to do Newcastle and over 2.5 in their game against Sheffield. $5 pays 13 something.
Giggs, you went on about how City's going to play a strong lineup against Brighton, and then you go on and bet Brighton.
Yeah, well, I told you at the end, even with a strong lineup, Brighton are capable.
Yep, I agree, Keegs. I have got Southampton Leeds. It's 3.8 for the draw. That's so high for a draw, so I had to put 5 down on it.
Coward.
Yeah, exactly. $5 on Brighton at 7.0. I agree. Let's roll with that one. I'm keeping I still have $5 each on a draw and a 0-0 exact score for Chelsea Leicester. I'm going with Wolves because Everton just loses to absolutely anyone at home. So I'm going with Wolves, 5 on them. I'm putting 5 on Burnley just because I think Liverpool cannot be trusted. Like even West Brom was giving them trouble and possibly could have, maybe even should have beaten them. So Burnley's a better team than West Brom. And I think they can, Chris Wood, we talked about him feasting on defenders. Who are those 2 in the back there?
Reece Williams and Nat Phillips.
And Nat Phillips, yeah. Chris Wood's going to be licking his chops. So $5 on Burnley. And then I'm trying to get back to a couple double chance parlays that have served me well this season. Southampton winner draw parlayed with Wolves winner draw. $10 pays 28. And this one's a bit of a stretch, but draw or Sheffield United parlayed with West Brom or draw. $10 pays 45. So I'm looking to make money moves this week. Anyone, any audibles? Anyone, anything they want to throw in?
Yeah, really quick.
Okay.
I can't believe we didn't go over this as well, but you reminded me when you said that West Brom probably should have won. How
They scored a
ridiculous!
goal. Yeah.
How ridiculous goal that was ruled off. I guess obstructing the goalie. But then did you see after the game, they did like a little like virtual reality simulation of the corner from Allisson's perspective? Did anyone see that? That was pretty neat where it all had like virtual players standing there and it like saw the ball came in. And then it showed like the fact that he could see the ball literally the whole time. I thought that was interesting and complete bullshit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
yeah. The Allisson winner shouldn't have even been a winner. Yeah, should have been.
I agree with you, Keegan. Like it, even without that, I didn't see that virtual reality thing. But even looking at it from the replays, it's like he saw the ball the whole time, and the attacker wasn't close enough to him that it obstructed him moving in any way. So,
and you know what? I honestly think I honestly think that the linesman put up his flag for an offside on the actual goal scorer, thinking that he was offside. And then VAR looked at it and was like, oh, well, this guy's standing offside, but doesn't actually.
I was just about to say that.
So it's not a clear and obvious because there's a guy standing offside that doesn't do anything.
I was just about to say.
That was who the linesman was calling.
I was just about to say, sorry, Keegan, that if the linesman didn't put up his flag, they would have checked VAR, but I don't think they would have called offside.
Yeah.
But because, I agree with you completely. All I'm going to say, too, is the fact that I also had 10 on the draw and 10 on the 0-0 for Chelsea Leicester from last week. I just want to make sure that the viewers know. Keep on that.
Keep on it. Keep on it. All right. I think that is a great point, Keegan. And I know that's very cynical to be thinking of Premier League refs, but I would not put it past them at this point to, just be like, oh, well, I mean, this guy, I knew one of them was offside, and this guy is kind of in front of the goalie, so we're just going to do that. Got it on a technicality. All right, guys, I think that's going to do it for another episode of Banter Bets and BPL. Game week 37, fantasy titles, relegation could be decided this week. We could make you some money. That's the goal, as always, to make you guys some money this week. We'll see what happens, and let's go Leicester. Let's go Wolves. Let's go. Who else are we cheering for?
Leeds.
Let's go Aston Villa. Some of us are cheering for. Let's go Brighton, of course. Let's go Burnley. Kind of, maybe. I do want Liverpool to get in the top 4 instead. So
let's go West Ham to keep me in the league and hopefully keep my bets up.
There you go. There's Kieran hoping on West Ham again. Banter Bets and BPL, guys. Stay safe out there. Don't bet any more than you can afford to lose if you are going to have a bet. That's always important, a reminder. But enjoy this little midweek slate, and thank you very much for listening.